Okay, and looks like we are live on YouTube. So let's kick this off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody listening and watching wherever and whenever this podcast finds you. Thanks for tuning in and welcome to the Bitcoin Weekly Wrap Up for the 25th of October 2019. This week's weekly roundup is once again sponsored by eToro, a trusted smart trading platform that is over 12 years old and conducts over 1 trillion in trading annually. They offer the coolest features of any trading platform in Bitcoin, in my opinion. The first being their virtual trading wallet, which lets you trade notional dollars on real order books, letting you test real strategies before you risk real money. The other being their newest feature, which is copy trading, which allows less experienced traders to find traders who have already proven themselves among the 11 million others in their trading social media platform on eToro. And you could pick one, two, as many as you like. Allocate a percentage of your portfolio to copy their trades. And you may be asking, why would legit traders allow others to copy them? Well, they get a percentage of your profits. So they basically create a larger portfolio for themselves to make money with. You make money, they make money, everybody wins. So head over to didyouknowcrypto.com/eToro. That's didyouknowcrypto.com/ETORO. And that will redirect you through my affiliate link. And this lets them know that you're a listener. It also gives you $50. So once again, we have a win-win. You get $50 subject to some minimum deposits, but you also help me out, and eToro is happy with everybody. So let's look at the price. The price continued to fall this week with kind of a sudden drop down to 7,500, and we're sitting just below that right now as of about 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 24th of October, 2019. So the first story of the day is the Libra hearings that were going on this week. Facebook's CEO Mark Zuckerberg appeared before Congress to testify about Libra. Admittedly, I didn't watch the hearings in full. I watched the earlier ones with the Libra team, but I did not listen to these ones in full, mainly because it kind of turned out to be what I thought it was going to be. There wasn't really any new information. It's a little bit of fireworks, but it was mostly grandstanding. And what was really gleaned, it was just an opportunity for the Representative Brad Shermans of the world to pound his fist about tax evaders and drug dealers, and for others to clamor about the 2016 election meddling. I do find it amazing. There was a period of questioning by Congressman Perlmutter. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correct, where he kind of just magnified his own ignorance by trying to say, holding Libra in Calibra is like cashing his Wells Fargo account, which obviously he only did a skimming of the topic before showing up. And then he also had the audacity to say that he wants innovation to stay in the US while also attending a hearing on whether or not they want to deny a company's ability to actually launch a product. I mean, just the obvious skimming of info was just ridiculous. I mean, he didn't even understand that Calibra is not the only wallet that will be available. It's just the one that Facebook is going to be offering. Libra can be held in any Libra wallet. It's just always amazing. Any of these hearings on technology, you can tell that staffers have provided them just like a basic overview and pre-written questions to ask, because when they get answers, they obviously don't understand them. A lot of times it's evading answers from people like Mark Zuckerberg, but even when they get a very straightforward answer, they just don't understand it. In other Libra news this week, if you remember back in August, the Chinese government had announced that it would be issuing its own digital currency, and its state-sponsored digital currency, and issuing them to 7 different institutions. Tencent, which is a major conglomerate that owns WeChat, among others, specifically highlighted Libra as a major threat to expansion of Chinese operated global payment systems such as WePay. And this is one of the reasons I still have hope that Libra will launch, since the US recognizes the need to combat a global, or at least a third world takeover by Chinese online payment networks, which is kind of doing it under the radar, really, of US press publications. Nobody's writing about this in major news networks that I have seen. It's just been kind of flying under the radar, which I'm not. Once again, I may sound like I want Libra, I'm excited about it, but my issue is mainly with this idea of like not allowing them to launch it. It needs to launch so that it can fail to highlight another reason why Bitcoin is better. So this global takeover throughout the third world and the quote unquote unbanked by these Chinese run, things like WePay is a very real threat to the ability for, the West to resist Chinese hegemonic efforts throughout the world. And Zuckerberg, in his testimony before Congress, actually kind of highlighted this. And I still think that this is probably his real. I wish he would have pounded on it for his sake, pounded on this, because I think it's really his best avenue for approval. But then again, these hearings are mainly just for grandstanding. So much of it was just based around Cambridge Analytica, the 2016 elections. Are you going to, you don't, do you control hate speech on Facebook? It has nothing to do with Libra. And this idea of, well, we get to decide what speech we don't want to see, what's dangerous, what's lies. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was really adamant about, well, what about political ads that are lies? Are you gonna fact check those and take them down? It's just very gross. It's a very obvious attempt that we want to be the ones who get to determine what is truth. So take that for what it is. Off of Libra, the former chairman of the CFTC, Christopher Giancarlo, who you may remember from last week's wrap-up, proposed forming a U.S.-backed stablecoin. And he said in his speech at the Pantera Summit in San Francisco, he said, this is a direct quote, "One of the untold stories of the past few years is that the CFTC, the Treasury, the SEC, and the director of the National Economic Council at the time, Gary Cohn, believed that the launch of Bitcoin futures would have the impact of popping the Bitcoin bubble, and it worked." Now, this sounds a bit startling, but it's not totally incorrect. By allowing futures, it allows the markets to have price discovery through shorting, right? Now, I don't entirely buy into the idea that allowing futures markets is what popped Bitcoin's price in 2017. We had seen a doubling of price, like a massive ramp up to 10,000 in November at some point, like right after Thanksgiving. And between then and December, I can't remember the exact day, it was like 18th or something like that, the price doubled, and it actually topped out the day before CME's futures launch. However, I don't think that it had no effect. I think perhaps the idea that there would be a futures market that you could short maybe put pressure, but I don't know how many people that were trading Bitcoin at the time really understood how any of those things worked. So it's possible, but I highly doubt it. I also don't think it's coincidence that Giancarlo has been on a tear about Bitcoin lately, since he's trying to launch his own unwanted, unnecessary stablecoin. This is not we're trying to get the US to do this with us. This is I'm going to do this, I'm going to run this, and I'm going to profit from it. So, and we had a story about Ripple as well. They made some big news, big announcements. They are opening a new office in Washington, D.C. to quote unquote strengthen their advocacy efforts for blockchain. Well, it's so wonderful for them to do us all such a great service. And this is just more of an indication that Ripple knows that it is a security and they want to get an EOS type deal. If you remember back, a few weeks back, I did a weekly wrap up where we talked about EOS. They were fined $24 million. Well, that was only 0.58% of their total $4 billion initial raise. This is highly likely to lobbying efforts. While there are other cryptocurrencies we see who didn't do any of this kind of lobbying stuff and were hit with fines that exceeded their actual initial raise. It was over 100%. So do you also notice that Bitcoin has no need for DC offices to play these games of quid pro quo and greasing these palms? Bitcoin achieved this non-security status without doing anything. I mean, stay far away from Ripple, folks. I mean, they are diving straight into the swamp and wanting us to pretend like we can't smell it. And the last story of the day is a good one. Bitmain, the world's largest Bitcoin mining, hardware mining operation, producer, I should say, has announced that they are opening a Bitcoin mining facility in Rockdale, Texas. It's at the site of an old Alcoa aluminum plant. It's a smelting plant where they melt down aluminum, or used to. Currently, the plant can produce about 25 megawatts of power, which could support about 16,600 ant miners producing around 41.5 Bitcoins a day, which works out to roughly around $300,000 a day. This was some napkin math, and this does not take into account the cooling, other operational needs, so that number will be lower. Plans are to ramp up to 50 megawatts, which would double that, and possibly all the way up to 300 megawatts they've hinted at. This will be the world's largest known Bitcoin mining facility. So Texas has an abundance of energy. Last week, I actually just, it's very interesting because last week, I shouldn't say interesting, they probably was very coincided. Texas had in Texas, there was announced that there was going to be a Bitcoin mining operation being opened as well. Peter Thiel's backed firm announcing very similar plans to build in Texas. And this is Texas, like I said, has abundance of energy. They produce more energy than they actually use. So this is very good. It's cheap energy for Bitcoin miners. And they also have a lot of natural oil fields to produce natural gas blow off, which also is very good. The only issue they have is it gets very hot in the summer. So cooling is a problem, but it's also dry, which is very good for any kind of electronic server type of things. So if you're actually interested in, because a lot of people bring up issues about Bitcoin energy use. So if you're interested in learning more about Bitcoin mining energy use and kind of a lot of the myths that surround it, such as it uses more energy than Ireland or whatever fill in the blank country, check out my episode that I did at episode 28, which can be found at didyouknowcrypto.com/28. So links will be in this week's wrap up if you're listening at didyouknowcrypto.com/wrapup10, or if you're watching on YouTube, just look below in the description and it'll be down there. And that is actually it. That's it for the weekly wrap up. So I wanted to thank you for listening. Please leave a review on iTunes. Just go to my website at didyouknow.com and click on the Apple icon to leave a review. You can go to didyouknowcrypto.com /platforms, and you can find where we're all found, and you can click on it and subscribe wherever you listen. If you could also go over to supportmypodcast.com. So this is not just my support stuff. There's a button that says listener supported discounts. These are absolutely free. A little pop-up that asks you to be put on an email list. And all I really do is I will email anybody on that list to say, I have, brand new, discounts for you. That's all I'm going to use it for. I'm not going to spam you with stuff. And if you go over to my sponsor, eToro, at didyouknowcrypto.com/ETORO, you'll get that $50. They'll be happy with me. Everybody wins. But mostly, I'd like to thank you all for listening or watching, depending on what way you're consuming this content. I really do appreciate it. You guys make it all worthwhile. The numbers have been looking good, so I really do appreciate it. Please share with family and friends, and have a good night.